I apologize for asking, but are you saying you'd rather I not come to the wedding tomorrow? I want to make sure I understand your meaning clearly. What I meant, I believe Marty would also prefer it if his less fortunate sister, who works at a supermarket, didn't attend. It was the first time I truly felt the sting of being looked down upon. They claimed it was for Marty's benefit. Invoking my brother's name left me speechless. My name is Joanna. When I was in ninth grade, our parents passed away in a car accident, leaving Marty and me alone. At first, I couldn't grasp the enormity of it. With no reliable relatives, our teacher stepped in to handle the funeral arrangements and other necessities. I could only watch, tightly holding Marty's hand. It was only after the funeral, in our quiet house, that the reality sank in. I wept uncontrollably, tears flowing until exhaustion claimed me. When I awoke, a strange calm had settled over me, as if I had expended a lifetime's worth of tears in one night. With a clear mind, I pondered how best to move forward, ensuring Marty's well-being above all else. That was my priority. Opting not to pursue college, I decided to enter the workforce instead. Concerns about finding a job without a high school diploma nagged at me, but a classmate's parent who owned a supermarket came through with an opportunity. Would you be interested in working here? The pay isn't great, but the team is wonderful. While others relished their high school experience in crisp new uniforms, I couldn't help but envy them. Yet practicality dictated I had to work to make ends meet. Thankfully, Marty understood our circumstances. When he returned from school, he pitched in with dinner and chores. Knowing Marty's kind nature, I wanted him to keep enjoying what he loved most, playing soccer. Marty considered quitting due to the travel costs for matches, but both the coach and I persuaded him to stay. I might be biased, but I truly believe Marty has a natural talent for soccer. On game days, I would either take time off work or rearrange my schedule just to be there to support him. Initially, other parents were taken aback to see a sister, not a parent, cheering Marty on. However, as Marty's skills on the field flourished and my encouragement grew louder, the curious glances gradually faded away. Once Marty reached high school, scouts from colleges and even professional leagues began attending his games. This attention ultimately helped him secure an athletic scholarship for college. When it was time for college, Marty declared, "I'm going to work. I can't keep relying on you, sis." I shook my head firmly. "I want you to keep pursuing your dreams, Marty. Through you, I get to experience the youth I missed." Marty frowned slightly at my words. "I'll make it to the pros for sure and take care of you, sis." "Thank you, but I don't need you to worry about me. My only dream is to see you become a professional soccer player." I smiled warmly to reassure him. "I'll be fine." "Sure, sis. You're the one who's always working hard," Marty conceded. But in my eyes, Marty was the true embodiment of hard work. True to his word, Marty turned professional after excelling in college. I continued at the supermarket, eventually scaling back to part-time hours. Time flew by, almost 15 years since I first started working there. One evening during a break, a text from Marty lit up my phone. It read, "There's someone I want you to meet." I jumped up in excitement, momentarily forgetting I was in the break room at the supermarket. The news that Marty had found someone special filled me with such joy that tears streamed down my face as I shared the story with my coworkers and manager. Marty had always been a good-natured kid, hardly ever asking for anything. He shed his rebellious streak entirely after our parents passed away. He even considered giving up soccer, his greatest passion, just to support me. And now, I was about to meet someone who meant a lot to him. Could I be any happier? The text message contained all the details, date, time, and the name of a restaurant in a nearby hotel. When I shared the news with my coworkers, they insisted, "You've got to dress up." I was usually mindful of my appearance, but I didn't own anything particularly fancy. After finishing my part-time shift, my coworkers insisted on taking me to the shopping district. We visited boutiques I rarely frequented, trying on various outfits until I settled on a classy yet simple dress. From there, we ventured to a large mall where I splurged on branded makeup and received a tutorial. Despite the exhaustion that comes from shopping after work, it felt like a welcome release. I had eagerly anticipated this day, counting down on my calendar for weeks. A few days later, I nervously sat in the hotel lobby where we had agreed to meet, dressed in the outfit I had chosen with my coworkers' help. My attempt at makeup followed the tutorial I had received, hoping I had done it justice. As I anxiously waited, I suddenly heard a familiar voice behind me calling out, "Sis." Slowly turning around, I saw Marty in a suit standing beside a stunning woman with long hair. "Sis, you look stunning." I made sure to dress up too, Marty exclaimed proudly as he introduced me to someone special. I chuckled at his remark, which seemed to please him. Let me introduce you. This is my fiancée, Vanessa. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Vanessa, your future sister-in-law. She greeted me warmly. Receiving such a gracious welcome from such a striking woman only added to my nerves. Managing a smile, I replied, I'm Marty's sister, Joanna. After the introductions, we decided to move to a nearby restaurant. Once seated, conversation flowed as we discussed various topics. Vanessa comes from a well-known family around here, and her father is apparently quite wealthy. Marty has told me about you. After your parents passed away, you've been like a parent to him. Parent-like, I wouldn't say. Don't be modest. You gave up high school for me and went to work. Wait, you didn't finish high school? Yeah, I started working right after middle school at a supermarket. It's been 15 years now. Just then, something felt off. Though Vanessa was nodding and making cute faces, it felt like she was looking down on me from behind her eyes. I initially dismissed it as my imagination, but then I caught her disdainful expression when Marty wasn't looking. That dress looks lovely on you, she complimented me, yet the way she appraised me from head to toe and snickered quietly confirmed my suspicions. She was definitely looking down on me. Next year, we're planning to get married, Marty announced somewhat sheepishly. Honestly, I wasn't overjoyed, but if this was Marty's decision, I had to support him. All I could manage was a broad smile as I congratulated them. As our meeting concluded, I had my doubts, but if they were happy, who was I to intervene? I chose to let it pass. Days flew by, and suddenly Marty's wedding day was upon us. As I prepared my outfit and gathered necessities, Vanessa's call interrupted me. I quickly returned it, concerned about the reason for her call. I'm busy too. Could you get to the point? Her abrupt greeting caught me off guard. I apologize for running late. It's my fault, I said sincerely. On the other end, Vanessa sighed audibly before delivering a surprising request. Could you, sister-in-law, please consider not attending the wedding tomorrow? What? I don't understand, I replied, taken aback. Vanessa, what do you mean? I mean exactly what I said. I don't think even Marty would want his sister, who works at a grocery store, to be there, she said with a condescending tone that made me keenly aware of being looked down upon. Her disdain was palpable, and she made no effort to disguise it. But I can't possibly miss my brother's wedding, I insisted firmly. Vanessa, that's not an option. As the bride, I decide what's possible. Please don't force me to repeat myself. It's also for Marty's sake, Vanessa countered, a statement that left me with little room to argue. The guest list for the wedding included Marty's coach and teammates, as well as influential figures from Vanessa's family's business circles, people often referred to as elites. I couldn't shake the feeling that my presence as a high school dropout might disrupt the ambience. Marty might reassure me, but I'm sure others won't feel the same. Perhaps following Vanessa's suggestion and not attending would be best. Fine, I won't come. Can I at least send a congratulatory message, even if it feels impersonal, over the phone? If I can't say it in person, then what's the point? Forget it, Vanessa, I said curtly, ending the call. Shocked, I stared at my phone, now silent in my hand. I wish I could have witnessed Marty's happiness firsthand. Shoving my packed bag into a corner of the room, I crawled into bed, deciding to sleep through the day. I had no energy for anything else, and I feared that if I let my emotions surface, tears would follow. I tried to force my eyes shut, but sleep eluded me until morning. When I finally checked my phone, I saw multiple missed calls from Marty, expected, given the circumstances. The family was supposed to leave for the wedding venue early that morning. Just then, another call from Marty came through. Hello, sis, where are you? He asked urgently. I'm on my way, Marty, I replied. I can't do it today, I added after a pause. I could feel the disappointment in his voice. Why? Marty asked softly. I hesitated, torn about revealing the truth. Before I could respond, Marty continued. Did Vanessa say something? Is that why? How did? Before I could inquire further, he cuts me off. Forget it, just come over now. We'll talk later. With that, he ends the call abruptly. Despite my initial decision not to attend, I hastily prepare and leave home, my mind troubled by concerns for Marty and Vanessa. Arriving at the venue, I hear raised voices even before entering the waiting room. Guided by the venue staff, I step inside to witness Marty, Vanessa, and her parents engaged in a heated argument. Surrounding them, bewildered relatives who were meant to be guests look on in confusion. What do you mean not inviting Joanna to the wedding? Marty's voice carries frustration. I can't have a supermarket worker as my sister-in-law. It's embarrassing, Vanessa retorts, her parents nodding in agreement beside her. It's disheartening to see them all aligned on this issue. Witnessing Marty's escalating anger, I see his frustration boiling over. What do you mean I should be embarrassed? Joanna has worked tirelessly her whole life to take care of me, he asserts passionately. Vanessa scoffs at his defense. Because of your sister, I might never marry. You know I should come first, right? That's right, Vanessa asserts confidently, as if it's self-evident. Absolutely, her parents chime in unison. Meanwhile, Marty looks ready to explode with rage. Marty, Vanessa, let's try to calm down. I interject hastily, attempting to diffuse the tension. But Vanessa suddenly notices my presence and snaps. Why are you here? People like you, who work at supermarkets, weren't invited. Leave now. Why does she have to say things like that? I thought, struggling to hold back tears in front of Vanessa. Just then, a voice broke through the murmurs of the crowd of onlookers. Wait a moment, I can't let that comment slide, declared the voice. Its owner pushed through the gathering and stood before us. Coach. It was Marty's team coach, who had arrived early for the ceremony and intervened upon hearing the disturbance. Judging someone by their occupation is unjust, he asserted firmly. Vanessa shot him a pained glance. Even she couldn't maintain her composure in front of the coach. Well, that may be, the coach remarked with a wry smile as he pulled a book from his bag. My initial sadness evaporated, replaced by a rush of embarrassment. Are you sure she's low level, even by your standards? He challenged. That's a bestseller. What does this have to do with anything? I exclaimed, recognizing the book in his hands. It was a novel I had written under the pseudonym Annie. Vanessa and her parents were left speechless. The coach held up the book, revealing my secret identity as its author. The novel traced back to a time before Marty's soccer career took off. When life settled down after our parents' passing, I turned to reading as a solace, often spending time at a library near my supermarket workplace. That library had a public computer corner where I first explored writing, fueled by my passion for books. On a whim, I entered a contest and won, leading to connections with a publishing house. Now, I'm a recognized author of several bestsellers and often featured in the media. I've never heard this story, Vanessa finally spoke after a moment of stunned silence. Marty interrupted sharply. I never mentioned it, but it's true, fixing a firm gaze on Vanessa. Marty's sincerity seemed to sway Vanessa. She turned to me, her demeanor shifting from skeptical to genuinely impressed. If you're such an accomplished person, that changes things. Please join us for the ceremony. Don't toy with me. I'm not marrying you, Marty declared firmly, causing Vanessa to bristle. What did you just say? She retorted, her anger palpable. The coach intervened, holding Vanessa back. We can't go on like everything's normal after the way you've treated my sister. Marty continued, his voice resolute. I'm sorry, but I can't go through with this, Vanessa. Amidst protests from Vanessa's parents and the relatives who had gathered for the wedding, Marty offered a heartfelt apology. This isn't happening, Vanessa's parents exclaimed, restrained by their own relatives. After some heated exchanges, it was decided that Vanessa's guests would leave. Vanessa herself continued to demand, you have to marry me, as they departed. In the dressing room afterward, it was just Marty and me. Mary slumped onto the sofa, looking utterly drained. Are you sure it was the right decision to call off the wedding? I couldn't resist asking, though I knew it might reopen old wounds. Marty let out a bitter laugh. Being the soccer player means your time in the spotlight is limited. I don't think a marriage with Vanessa, who's so focused on her career, would have lasted. His words made sense. Marty had a valid point. I can imagine how Vanessa, who belittled me for working at a supermarket, would treat you if you gave up soccer, I remarked, thinking aloud. Why didn't you mention that I'm a writer? I asked Marty, curious about his reasoning. Marty had kept my identity as a writer from Vanessa, and I sensed there was a deliberate reason behind his silence. When I brought it up, Marty simply smiled. I couldn't shake the feeling that Marty had seen through Vanessa's facade. Numerous discussions unfolded between our families, ultimately leading to the formal cancellation of the engagement. Vanessa and her parents vehemently resisted to the very end, but the intervention of other relatives prevailed. Despite the broken engagement, Marty continued to excel in his soccer career. In contrast, Venus's family endured public scrutiny after her outburst in the waiting room was splashed across the media. As for me, I'm contemplating transforming this ordeal into a novel while balancing my writing career with my job at the supermarket. I intend to keep supporting Marty just as we've always done.